somewhere in the middle of the circle jerk that was Survivor Series War Games, more like Survivor Series Board Games, am I right? Somewhere in this and somewhere in the haters' review, I feel like people are leaving out the most important thing. No, it's not the identity of the masked man, which apparently the rumblings are that it's Austin Theory. Like anyone gives a flying fuck. Austin Theory isn't enough of a big name to show up masked and then to unmask and people to pretend that it's a big deal, because the last time we saw him, he was out there getting his ass beat by Johnny Gargano. You know what I mean? The biggest issue of the night, and arguably the biggest issue of the year at this point, is John Cena getting cucked. Now, this last year of Cena's career has been handled extremely poorly. You know, at Elimination Chamber, he actually won a big match, and he did so cleanish, right? Other people screwed other people, right? But he won it as a face, right? He didn't do anything dirty, and quite frankly, you can't do anything dirty because it's a no DQ match, right? So Cena won the opportunity to wrestle the cuckster himself at Mania. Then, immediately after that, the match also was complete garbage, by the way. I remember that match, people pretending it was good. It's one of the worst matches of all time. But right after that, Cena then turned heel, and that led to a decent run. I mean, it shouldn't have happened at all, but considering that it did happen, it turned out to be a decent run. Cena carried this piece of shit company on his back for the majority of the year, giving us matches that people would probably want to see, including matches against Randy Orton and CM Cuck, right? Two of his biggest rivals. Now, because WWE likes to blow their load early, we were left then with lesser matches like AJ versus Cena, right? Which was a decent match, in my opinion, overproduced and overly spotty, but nevertheless. And then, of course, the match between him and the Cuckster, who I believe won the King of the Ring. I could be wrong. I believe he won the King of the Ring, Cucks. So anyways, Cucky Rhodes wrestles Cena and beats him, beginning in a very good match, might I add, but beginning the second of Cody's two meaningless title reigns. This is how you know they're meaningless. They're not good enough to exist on their own. Other people will always be the attraction. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and up until recently, Big Match John, or as I'm going to start calling him now, John the Cuck, all right? John Cena has been cucked out immediately. Now, some of you are thinking, oh, Triple H is doing it, but it doesn't matter. Cena can just say, no, I'm not doing this. Or, better yet, he can say, fine, I'll do it, and then as soon as his contract is up, he can go on like, I don't know, Joe Rogan or something, and say that this was bullshit, right? He could go and let the cat out of the bag. I don't suspect that's going to happen. So basically, Cena is now involved in yet another humiliation ritual. I don't give a flying fuck how strong Raquel Rodriguez is or how much stake they have put in Roxanne Perez. The fact of the matter is, two women did their finishing move on John Cena, which led to a false finish and could have potentially led to the finish of the match because he also took the 619 and the frog splash. Never mind the fact that in his penultimate match, Cena is forced to wrestle a man who is his inferior in Dominick Mysterio. Now again, I'm not going to sit here and bore everyone to death with the fact that I was the first person ever to say that Dominic has potential. Irrespective of this potential, Dominick Mysterio is still Dominick Mysterio. Don't get it twisted, cuckstis. That's not how this works. Dominic is still Dominic. And quite frankly, in my personal opinion, and this I did mention yesterday, Cena had to reduce himself in order to wrestle a match against Dominic. If you were to compare this match with a match against AJ Styles, which even though Cena won, let's just say AJ Styles won the match, right? He could have. At any given moment, he could have hit like the Angel's wings and pinned him. Who gives a flying fuck, right? This is AJ Styles. Obviously, a credible wrestler, a good wrestler, and a wrestler that can do moves. And quite frankly, as evidenced by the fact that he wore the AJ Styles booty shorts, he's like twice the size he was when he was in TNA, right? He's much bigger and stronger, and therefore it's believable that he can even beat up someone like Cena, right? That's just the facts. Dominic is not believable. And in order to make the match palpable for the dumbass audience, right, there's only two scenarios. John Cena just whoops his ass like he would Carlito back in the day. Or, alternatively, Cena has to wrestle like he's retarded. They went with the latter option. Cena's out there doing dumb shit, acting like a moron. At the end of the day, the facts are the facts. Raquel did get him up for the fucking, what's it called? Tejana bomb. She did it to him, you know? She can do it. She can lift Cena. Dominic probably cannot do that to Cena. But Raquel did, right? Obviously with John Cena's assistance. But nevertheless, she did. So I'm not even as mad at that as I am at the overall booking of Cena in this match, right? Obviously, there's no scenario in which Raquel should be doing the powerbomb to him, nor, and especially, Roxanne Perez doing the pop rocks onto him. That's inexcusable. But at the very least, right, Cena can only allow this to happen if he is being a complete retard, which is exactly what happened. Cena had this goofy-ass look of what the fuck is going on his face like 85% of the match. He was always confused. You would have thought, not that this is his second to last match, his penultimate match, you would have thought this was this idiot's first match. This felt like if Dominick Mysterio was wrestling Ridge Holland, making his debut on the main roster. That's how that match could go down. This is John Cena. Cena has seen it all. In this match, they tried to balance it out by cucking two more guys in JD McDonough and Finn Balor, who are cucks, so nothing was lost there, right? Cena manhandled them, effortlessly lifting them up and hitting the double AA, right? So to be fair, he took care of basically all of Judgment Day, except for Liv, who just came back, and Dominic, right? Now, another thing that goes towards Cena is that Liv Morgan faked hitting Dominic, right? Now, she missed, but you could easily explain that away as like, oh, she didn't actually want to hit him, you know? Which makes Cena look even dumber, you know? But let's just assume she was meant to hit him and it was just a massive botch, which is obviously the more likely scenario. Cena then reacts like something important just happened. Bro, this is your second to last match. I know you don't give a flying fuck, but you are the Intercontinental Champion. You're supposed to feel like a big deal. You're supposed to want this title, you know? I think everyone that was smart as soon as the match was announced realized that Cena's going to drop the title, right? Because, like I said earlier in previous videos, it makes no sense for someone like Gunther to go and beat Cena for the IC title, right? So what's the solution? I know, have Cena drop the IC title. Now, in my opinion, if Cena loses his retirement match, which appears to be the way they're going, even though this is the most uninspired last four people in a tournament possibly of all time, if Cena loses this match, Cena goes out on a massive losing streak. I get it. He beat AJ, but he lost three very prominent matches at the tail end of his career. He lost to the man-beast Brock Lesnar. No problem with that one. I would have had Cena win, but no problem with that one. That should have been the last match. Then he loses against, let's just say, Gunther for the sake of argument. And then he also loses against the Cuckster. And then he loses, obviously, against Dominic at the pay-per-view, right? All he's doing is losing left and right. This is John Cena, motherfucks. If John Cena can put on a barely better performance than Goldberg, who's in his 50s, right? In his mid to late 50s, I would imagine, right? And he can just barely eke by and still lose to fucking Gunther, then it's like a 48-year-old Cena is on the same level as a 59,000-year-old Goldberg, right? It's inappropriate, and quite frankly, it's very stupid. So, what happened, right? Well, in my personal opinion, people just want to portray this giving Cena, right? The Cena that's willing to debase himself and take moves from female wrestlers. I mean, after all, theoretically, he's got nothing to lose, right? Like, Cena's legacy is his legacy. He's the never seen 17, motherfucks. Him getting powerbombed by Raquel Rodriguez is not going to ruin his legacy overall, but it's also not going to help Raquel Rodriguez, right? And this is especially interesting considering that Raquel Rodriguez nor Roxanne Perez can string together more than one singles victory at a time, right? It'd be one thing. I still think it would be fucking retarded, but it'd be one thing if like Jade Cargill did this, right? At the very least, you're having someone more believable and someone who is going to get a massive push as the person that's destroying Cena, right? In my personal opinion, what should have happened is Cena should have just AA'd both of them, you know, and Jade Cargill too for good measure if she was there. Cena should have won this match dominantly and maybe relinquish the title tomorrow on Raw, or otherwise do something that would indicate that he is John Cena and that the time is no longer now and that now he's gone, right? But instead, what they did was they had to put him through this dumbass humiliation ritual. I'm not saying it's like, Illuminati, all that dumb shit. I'm saying that clearly the people that booked this match, somewhat, even though it had no bearing on the match whatsoever, right? The fact of the matter is that irrespective of any of this shit, right? Like Cena just got destroyed by two women. This had no bearing on the match. Raquel Rodriguez powerbombing Cena didn't lead to Cena getting pinned. So therefore, there was no reason why it should have happened, right? Again, Cena's legacy is not going to be tarnished by this one match. But the collection of bullshit things that have happened to Cena in the last few months of his career are absurd. At this point, Cena should have just retired after The Undertaker beat him several WrestleManias ago. Get lapped by The Undertaker, and that's it. But he came back, he got his title, he became a Grand Slam champion, and then to commemorate the fact that he's a Grand Slam champion now, he got finished off by two broads, right? Like fucking Becky Lynch can counter these moves. Why can't Cena? Why didn't Cena counter these moves? Doesn't make any sense, cuts. But whatever, right? Then, to add a cherry on top to the cucking, Cena gets betrayed, quote unquote, by Liv Morgan. Now, this is whatever, right? Nobody really cares about this part. The point here wasn't to screw Cena over. The point was to just show that Liv Morgan is back, right? But the inevitability of her turning on Dom is still there, number one. And number two, why the hell is Cena invested in this garbage, right? Why is Cena reacting to Liv smacking Dom? What he should have done is gently pushed her out of the way, picked Dom up, and hit him with the AA in the middle of the ring and pinned him. That's what he should have done. Capitalize, right? Now, in addition to the horse shit that happened last night, we have to consider the big swings in Cena's character this last year, right? This last calendar year. He wins the EC, the Elimination Chamber. First, he makes it to the final two at the Rumble, right? Everyone thinking he's going to win because he's up against Jey Uso. Jey Uso eliminates him. Great choice, in my opinion. I still stand behind it, right? It came out of nowhere. It really solidified Jey Uso as a serious guy, which obviously was going to be short-term, like we said back then. And fundamentally, the most important thing that it did do is it put Cena on the map, right? Back on the map as someone that is in contention, right? Because you knew that he got second. He's not going to just go off to WrestleMania and have a meaningless match, right? Chances were, and that's exactly what happened, that he would be in a championship match. And he was. But then, at the Chamber, when he earns his title shot, he turns heel, right? The explanations were not sufficient. He explained that he turned heel because the fans turned on him. Whatever, who gives a flying fuck, right? This was a forced move. They wanted Cena to play a heel for a little bit. It was, and it will go down as a colossal disaster. It will go down as one of the dumbest moves of all time. And the fact that in WWE, like Uncut or whatever the fuck it's called, they portrayed it as this multi-layered intelligent decision. They have Bruce Pritchard and Triple H and the other guy who looks like Pritchard. They're like, we all came to agreement, but it wasn't easy to put together. And then it literally shows this fucking chart with these people's faces on it, like one of those criminal charts. They're like, I had to call like fucking Travis Scott, and he had to call The Rock, and it's like, no, none of this had to happen. Here's all you have to do. You tell Cena, hey man, you're going to turn heel. You go to The Rock and you say, hey man, Cena's turning heel. You tell Cucky, Cena's turning heel, and you're getting your ass beat. Oh, also, we brought in Travis Scott for fucking no reason to beat your ass a little bit too. He will be seen one more time at WrestleMania, and then he'll be gone because nobody gives a fuck about this guy, right? I don't give a shit what people say. There is no more mainstream music. Everybody is just a fringe loser. I refuse to believe that people like Travis Scott and Chappelle Rowan are mainstream acts, right? If these people walk down the street, if Chappelle Rowan walks at the mall and there's anybody there that's over the age of 10, nobody's gonna know who the fuck this broad is, right? Travis Scott, they might know who he is, but they'll never be able to pick him out of a lineup. He's just a regular dude. He has no charisma. He's just a regular ass guy, right? We are now in the regular ass guy era, as evidenced by Travis Scott and Dominick Mysterio. Regular people cosplaying as stars. No, motherfuckers. You got zero star power, all of y'all. So these dipshits come up with this intricate plan, right? Which is just basically like, hey, turn heel and beat up Cody. They're like, we have to talk this through. Like, shut the fuck up. We all know that your jobs are horseshit. You don't actually do anything, right? And that's one of the things the hater hates the most. People that get money but don't do anything to earn it. They put in the bare minimum like Triple H, and he's like, I run the company. You're running into the ground. Every decision has been a dumbass decision. Now, there's a difference between a bad decision, which is tolerable. Bad decisions happen, right? Perhaps someone could argue, I don't know who would argue this, but someone could argue that Vince McMahon in a do-rag was a bad decision. But it wasn't a stupid one, right? There was a point behind it. The decisions that are being made nowadays are straight up stupid. Like John Cena getting powerbombed by Raquel Rodriguez is not only, it's obviously also a bad decision, but it's not only a bad decision, it's also stupid. Nothing comes out of this, right? The only thing that happened is we saw Cena get powerbombed by a girl. So like the three neckbeards can be like, huh, that would never happen to Daisuke Nashimoto. That's the only thing that I can think of, right? They're like, oh, imagine if like Sayuri like powerbombed Okada, right? It's like John Cena would fucking eat everyone in New Japan alive and everyone in WWE except for Lesnar alive, motherfuckers. He would eat these motherfuckers in every capacity, not only in strength, but in charisma and in ability, right? And they have him getting pop rocked by fucking Roxanne Perez, who's like 85 pounds. Like she can't even win like a high school fight. Like there's girls from high school, in high school, that would have whooped her ass. You know what I mean? And then she's out there doing power bombs, basically, to Cena, doing flip power bombs. What the fuck is this shit, man? You know? So this is a stupid decision. Just like it was stupid to turn Cena heel. But this wasn't enough. They couldn't carry this through, right? They couldn't end it with Cena being a heel. No problem. I completely understand that, right? Completely understand that. I knew as soon as Cena turned heel that this is going to be short-lived. Cena's not going to retire as a heel, right? But at this point, that would have been better than what's happening now anyways. You know? In 2 weeks, we're going to see Cena versus, I'm assuming at this point, Gunther, right? I don't care about this match. I mean, of course I do because it's Cena's last match. So this match is always going to be important because it's going to be the last time we see the AA, potentially, right? Presumably, the last time we see it in a match. He might come back and AA some jobber at some point, but presumably that's it, right? How great would it be if Cena just like showed up to AEW? Can you imagine the big dick move that would be? Like, holy shit, like AEW would crush WWE in the ratings. Imagine if Cena's like, yeah, motherfucks, I'm back. It's John Cena because he has his full name. He could be like, I'm John Cena, right? And I'm back. Full time. Suck a fat one, right? Like everyone, the 900,000 people that are still pretending to watch SmackDown are all going to switch the channel to AEW. That's what it would take. Let's be real. I love Christian Cage. I love Edge. These guys don't have the star power of Cena, right? But that's just a fantasy. The reality is Cena's done, basically, and that's going to be the end of that, you know? And for better or for worse, you know what I mean? This year is coming to an end. John Cena's last year is coming to an end in 2 weeks, you know? So think about the forces, the powers that be, and how the stars had to align in such a retarded way for this to be the situation that we find ourselves in. You know what I mean? We're going to see Cena. People are still going to be excited. It's going to be a big match feel because it's Cena's last match, but it would have been much more powerful if Cena had a massive winning streak until this point, right? Even Gunther beating Cena now, he gets nothing from it, right? I mean, who gives a shit if he beats Cena, right? He's not retiring him in the traditional sense, right? Same thing with Goldberg. It's not like Gunther retired Goldberg or Gunther retired Cena. These are guys that were going to retire. This is not like other retirements, like when Shawn Michaels was retired by Undertaker or when Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair, where the storyline was if they lose, they have to go. This is not what's happening here. Win, lose, or draw, Cena's retiring, right? So Gunther beating Cena in his last match is not an accomplishment. It would be because then he can say, I'm the last guy to beat Cena. But nowadays, it doesn't matter because right before you, 2 weeks before, Dominic beat Cena. 2 weeks before, Raquel Rodriguez hit a finishing move on Cena. She's a girl, right? So there's nothing to be proud of from Gunther's perspective. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, this goes all the way back to the Cuckster. This cheapens Cucky Rhodes' win against Cena. He beat Cena, but he didn't beat anyone unbeatable. He beat someone like, since Cucky Rhodes beat him, Cena has beaten Dominic once and AJ Styles once, and I think that's it, motherfucks. Beyond that, he got his ass beat by Lesnar, and he got his ass beat by Dominic again, and then he's going to get his ass beat one last time at the fucking Saturday Night's Main Event, right? So the only solace that can come from this is if it's Cena versus Gunther, maybe and hopefully Cena can just win. Because at this point, Gunther, I'm assuming it's Gunther, but it could be anybody else, I suppose. At this point, Gunther beating Cena is no longer anything to be proud of, right? Also, Gunther beat Goldberg, and this led to nothing. Gunther beat Goldberg, then he got his ass beat. You know what I mean? Simple as that. He only fought Goldberg because he was the World Heavyweight Champion, right? That at least felt like something. He beat Goldberg, so what, right? So what? After that, he got his ass beat by Seth Rollins or CM Punk or whatever, right? So it's not like he beat Goldberg and then leveraged this into something amazing, right? He beat Goldberg and nobody gave a fuck, because nobody could possibly care about Gunther. So at this point, the only good thing that could come from this is Cena beats Gunther. If that happens, then Cena leaves with a shred of dignity. If it doesn't happen, then Cena leaves the same way he left Survivor Series. Dejected, disappointed, looking at the camera and saying, that's it. Last time is now, children. See you later, Jet. Right? It's been good. Cination, that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I mean, he's going to give a speech, I'm assuming, because it's his last match. But it'd be better if in his speech, he won the match and he said, it's good to go out with a bang. I'm still him. I'm still John Cena. And then he can say, the last time is now. And at this point, if you want some, come get some. And that'll be it, right? And then he can cry or whatever the fuck is going to happen. But that's basically all that's, ow, fuck, I stubbed my toe up in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to leave that in. I was going to edit it out, but I'll just leave it in. So the fucking hell. I stubbed like my middle toe up in this motherfucker on the drawer of a bed. I have like a day bed in my arcade, and I just stubbed my toe in like the drawer handle. You know what I'm talking about? The motherfucker hurts. It's like made out of iron. But anyways, neither here nor there. Cuts. The point is, as I walk this shit off, the point is, Cena is not going to go out with this bang, probably. He's probably going to take a loss and then cut the same retirement speech that he had been planning, right? And that's fine, but at least give Cena something. They wanted to pretend they did by giving him the Intercontinental title, but that's not enough, motherfuckers. Cena deserves all the bells and whistles, And he's not getting them, so everyone can go fuck themselves. Like, do you see, like, this is why people like Stone Cold and The Rock and to somewhat of a degree, Brock Lesnar just leave early, right? Goldberg too, right? They leave early, they're like, fuck this shit. I'm not going through this bullshit where I just get my ass beat and nobody's entertained. Because fundamentally, that's the thing that matters the most, right? Were the fans entertained by this outcome? Absolutely not. Nobody cares, motherfuckers. Once Cena's gone for good, like, you can bet your ass that next year around this time, SmackDown's going to be getting, like, probably in the 800,000s up in this bitch. You know what I mean? They will solidly be getting 900,000 viewers. Like, it'll be like them breaking 1 million by this time next year. It's going to be like something to cheer for. People are going to be like, wow, SmackDown. You see those articles once in a while? They're like, AW ratings spike up from 550,000 to 580,000. It's like, these are unacceptable ratings, motherfuckers. For a primetime TV show on network TV, like, that's fucking retarded. But that's what I gotta say about that, motherfuckers. The cucking of John Cena. The other good thing is that mercifully, it's almost over. You know what I mean? I look forward to the match because I think it's going to be a bookend, not only obviously in Cena's career, but it's going to be a bookend in wrestling, right? I think after this, it's all downhill. People saying like one day, Braun Breaker and Dominick Mysterio are going to main event WrestleMania. No one's going to watch that shit. No one's going to give a fuck about that. You know what I mean? Neither of those guys have the requisite charisma to be a WrestleMania main eventer, if we're being honest. So anyways, that's what I got to say about that. Take care of yourselves and say a prayer for my middle left toe. Cucks this.